Meghan Markle just got caught in another ego-fueled disaster, and this time the footage is absolutely damning. A viral clip from a California bookstore event has sent shockwaves across social media, with critics slamming the Duchess of Sussex as rude, insufferable, and completely incapable of letting anyone else have the spotlight. The moment in question happened at Godmother's bookstore in Summerland, where Meghan appeared alongside her longtime college friend Courtney Adamo. The event was supposed to celebrate Courtney's new interior design book, The Family Home. Instead, it became yet another example of Meghan making everything about herself. In the now viral footage, Courtney begins addressing the audience, expressing how honored she feels to be there. But before she can even finish her thought, Meghan physically reaches over, grabs her friend's arm, and repositions the microphone toward her mouth. The intervention leaves Courtney visibly flustered. She apologizes on the spot, admitting the situation makes her nervous. Meghan laughs it off and even offers to hold the microphone for her, as if her college friend cannot be trusted with basic public speaking. The clip exploded across social media within hours, with critics calling the behavior controlling, condescending, and deeply inappropriate. One viewer wrote that Courtney looked like she wanted to drop the mic and walk away. Another asked bluntly whether Courtney ever got a chance to speak at her own book event. But this was not even the most damaging moment from that evening. Additional footage shows Meghan repeatedly cutting off her friend mid-sentence, bulldozing through conversations, and dominating a discussion that was meant to promote someone else's work entirely. Critics pointed out that the interviewer looked visibly uncomfortable throughout, while Courtney eventually stopped even trying to hold up her microphone. Sources close to the event claim Meghan supplied bottles of her as-ever wine for guests afterward, effectively turning her friend's book launch into a promotional opportunity for her own brand. The optics could not have been worse. Social media erupted with fury. Comments flooded platforms calling Meghan a bully who was stealing Courtney's moment. Others labeled her behavior as narcissistic, pointing to what they described as a pattern of overshadowing anyone who dares share a stage with her. One particularly scathing post noted that something is literally seriously wrong with her, adding that she does not know how to properly behave around others. Another simply declared her insufferable. The footage racked up millions of views across multiple platforms, with each repost adding fresh waves of criticism. And here is the truly explosive part. Insiders now claim this viral disaster is just the tip of the iceberg. Sources connected to her Netflix production have allegedly revealed even more troubling footage from behind the scenes, footage that paints an even darker picture of the Duchess and her behavior towards staff and collaborators alike. The bookstore incident may have broken the internet, but what happened on the set of her cooking show could break her career entirely. And trust me, you are going to want to hear what the crew had to say. Behind the glossy Instagram posts and carefully curated Netflix footage, a very different story has been emerging from the set of With Love Meghan. Sources connected to the production have broken their silence, and what they are revealing paints a devastating portrait of ego run completely wild. According to insiders, Meghan insisted on being referred to as Queen Meghan on set. She apparently played it off as a joke, but those who worked alongside her insist there was a serious undertone to the demand. One crew member reportedly described the atmosphere as walking on eggshells around royalty who was no longer actually royal. The most telling moment came when Meghan orchestrated a now infamous photograph showing the entire 80-person crew gathered behind her, applauding as she sent holiday wishes to her followers. On the surface, it looked like a heartwarming tribute to teamwork and collaboration, but sources claim the reality was far more calculated. Insiders allege Meghan borrowed the tactic directly from old Hollywood playbooks, specifically the strategy used by stars like Marilyn Monroe and Bette Davis, who staged similar photos with their crews as insurance against future criticism. If anyone turned on them later, they could point to the image as proof of harmony on set. Meghan, a self-proclaimed lover of old Hollywood glamour who reportedly devours celebrity biographies, apparently applied the exact same playbook, but the smiles in that photograph reportedly masked deep frustration. Multiple crew members have allegedly revealed they knew the show was a dud while they were still making it. The problem, according to these sources, was that Meghan refused to take any advice whatsoever. When the production team suggested bringing in close personal friends to add authenticity, she dismissed the idea entirely. They reportedly proposed having her longtime companions appear via video call if she did not want them physically present in her staged kitchen. Meghan apparently wanted none of it. She only wanted celebrities. The problem was that most celebrities could smell trouble coming and politely declined invitations to appear. Sources claim the crew urged her to include more genuine moments with family or the friends she had allegedly known since she was 17. Every suggestion was reportedly shot down. Meghan wanted complete creative control, and she was not interested in opinions from people she viewed as beneath her vision. One insider described her as having an inexplicable belief that everything she was doing was right, even as warning signs mounted. The crew members applauding in that photograph were not celebrating their leader. According to sources, they were applauding the end of a lucrative contract they knew had been doomed by one person's inability to listen. The fallout has been brutal. That 80-person crew now faces uncertain futures because the show failed to resonate with audiences. Netflix had reportedly planned to turn With With Love Meghan into a recurring series with seasonal specials throughout the year. Those plans have allegedly been scrapped entirely, and the people paying the price are not the woman who demanded to be called queen. They are the workers who tried to warn her. If anyone needed proof that Meghan Markle struggles to read a room, Paris Fashion Week delivered it in spectacular fashion. The Duchess of Sussex made her debut at the prestigious Balenciaga Spring-Summer 2026 show in October, and what should have been a glamorous triumph turned into yet another viral embarrassment. Seated front row in an all-white silk ensemble, Meghan was captured on camera doing something that left viewers absolutely stunned. When a model stumbled on the runway, Meghan immediately burst into laughter. The footage is brutal to watch. As the model loses her footing on the catwalk, Meghan gasps, covers her mouth, and then visibly giggles before turning to her companion, Soho House creative director Marcus Anderson, clearly looking for someone to share the joke with. The problem was that Anderson was not laughing at all. His face remained completely stoic, offering no reaction whatsoever. When Meghan realized her neighbor was not going to join in her amusement, she quickly turned back toward the runway and attempted to compose herself. But it was too late. The cameras had already captured everything. Social media exploded with outrage. Critics branded Meghan a mean girl, a bully, and absolutely classless for finding humor in another person's misfortune. One commenter asked pointedly why she finds such joy in others tripping or falling. Another wrote that inappropriate laughter at someone else's expense is the only spontaneous thing Meghan does, adding that everything else about her is calculated and performative. The accusations cut deep because this was not the first time Meghan had been caught reacting this way. Royal watchers quickly resurfaced footage of her appearing to laugh when young Princess Charlotte fell on the Buckingham Palace balcony. Others pointed to her reaction when a guard collapsed during trooping the color. A pattern, critics argued, was emerging. A representative for the Duchess attempted damage control, insisting Meghan was not laughing at the model, but rather reacting to a moment shared with a friend. The explanation fell flat with most observers, who noted that Anderson clearly was not sharing any light-hearted moment with her. Royal commentator Charlotte Griffiths acknowledged Meghan seemed out of place and nervous during the event, but confirmed she burst out laughing when the model tripped, adding that Meghan obviously realized it was quite a cruel thing to do and tried to cover it up. The admission only fueled more criticism. Making matters worse, this was not even Meghan's only awkward moment at the Balenciaga show. Footage emerged of her leaning in to greet designer Pierpaolo Piccioli with kisses on the cheek, only for the two to awkwardly bump heads when he apparently did not get the memo. It was later revealed that Meghan had actually invited herself to the event rather than receiving a formal invitation from the brand. The entire Paris trip became a masterclass in cringe, with critics comparing her confident strut leaving the venue to Ben Stiller's character in Zoolander. The mockery was relentless, and the damage was done. Just when you thought the viral disasters could not get any worse, Meghan Markle delivered a moment so painfully awkward that even her supporters struggled to defend it. During an episode of With Love Meghan, the Duchess sat alongside comedian and actress Mindy Kaling for what should have been a light-hearted cooking segment. Instead, viewers witnessed Meghan interrupt the conversation to deliver a correction that left jaws on the floor. When Mindy casually referred to her as Meghan Markle, the Duchess could not let it slide. She stopped mid-conversation and told her friend it was so funny that she kept saying Meghan Markle, reminding her that she is Sussex now. The clip went absolutely viral. GB News presenter Alex Armstrong shared the footage, which racked up over 1.3 million views, describing the moment as insufferable. Critics piled on, calling the correction unnecessary, pretentious, and completely tone-deaf. Here was a woman who had publicly declared she wanted freedom from the royal institution, who had stepped back from duties and relocated to California to escape the constraints of palace life, and yet she was correcting a friend for not using her royal title properly. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Social media users pointed out that Meghan cannot have it both ways. She cannot claim to reject royal life while simultaneously demanding people address her by her royal name. But this was not an isolated incident. Reports have surfaced detailing a pattern of Meghan insisting on formal announcements of her title in settings that most people would consider absurdly casual. During a recent interview with a journalist, the reporter described arriving at a friend's brownstone on the Upper East Side in New York. When she entered, the house manager formally announced Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, despite the fact that only 2 other people appeared to be in the entire house. On another occasion, the same journalist met Meghan at the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. A golf cart pulled up and someone announced the Duchess of Sussex before Meghan emerged. The theatrics felt wildly out of place for what were essentially casual meetings. Royal experts have weighed in with scathing assessments. One commentator noted that Meghan clings to her title with remarkable determination for someone who insisted the institution was suffocating her. Another suggested her behavior creates a jarring juxtaposition, describing the couple as unusually self-focused and eager to attach themselves to any opportunity that elevates their profile. The more Meghan blurs the line between royal status and commercial ambition, the greater the distance the actual royal family puts between themselves and the Sussexes. Palace sources have allegedly made clear they have no interest in being associated associated with the couple's business ventures. The name correction moment became symbolic of something larger. It revealed a woman who left royalty but desperately wants the world to remember she was once part of it. She wants the titles without the duties, the prestige without the accountability, and the public is finally seeing through the contradiction. The reviews are in, and they are absolutely brutal. Meghan Markle's Christmas special, with Love Meghan Holiday Celebration, landed on Netflix with a resounding thud. Critics sharpened their knives and carved up the hour-long special with the kind of venom usually reserved for genuine disasters. The London Times declared the point of all this is not interest or enlightenment, let alone entertainment, adding that it amounts to nothing more than one-upmanship. The Independent called it white noise to dull the senses, insisting it was not fun, enjoyable, or even aspirational. The London Standard suggested the production team must be trolling Meghan with increasingly bizarre setups for her to impart hosting hacks that would make anyone actually hosting Christmas have a nervous breakdown. But the most damaging revelations came from behind the scenes. Sources connected to the production have alleged that crew members knew the show was doomed from the moment filming began. The problem, according to insiders, was Meghan herself. She reportedly refused to take advice from anyone on her team, dismissing creative suggestions with an inexplicable belief that everything she was doing was exactly right. When producers suggested she include genuine personal moments with close friends or family members, Meghan allegedly shut down every proposal. They reportedly urged her to bring in the people she had claimed to know since she was 17, perhaps through video appearances if she preferred not to have them physically present. She wanted no part of it. The only person Meghan apparently wanted to feature was herself, surrounded by carefully selected celebrities. The problem was that most A-list names could sense trouble and declined invitations to appear. Those who did show up reportedly felt the atmosphere on set was tense and overly controlled. Sources claim Meghan only brought Prince Harry into the production at the 11th hour, apparently hoping his presence would appease Netflix executives who were already concerned about the project's direction. Harry's brief appearance in the special saw him joking about the salad containing ingredients he hates, but insiders suggest even he looked uncomfortable throughout. The failure has had real consequences for the 80-person crew who worked tirelessly on the production. Netflix had reportedly planned to turn With Love Meghan into a recurring series with seasonal specials throughout the year, covering Christmas, Easter, and a summer run. Those plans have allegedly been scrapped entirely following the dismal reception. The crew members who appeared in that staged applause photograph now face uncertain employment futures. They believed they were signing on to a long-term project with a streaming giant. Instead, they got a one-and-done disaster helmed by a star who refused to listen to anyone. One reviewer summed up the special perfectly, describing it as the reek of forced fun being ever present, adding that even Harry looked embarrassed. The public was offered a window into Meghan's carefully curated lifestyle, complete with cashmere separates and artisanal crafts. What they saw instead was a performance so hollow that even the Christmas decorations felt fake. The Courtney Adamo incident was not a one-time slip. It was the latest example in a years-long pattern that insiders say defines how Meghan Markle operates in any room she enters. When the spotlight belongs to someone else, she simply cannot help herself. She has to grab it back. The bookstore event was supposed to celebrate Courtney's accomplishment, the release of her book The Family Home. Instead, social media was flooded with clips of Meghan dominating every exchange, physically correcting her friend, and turning the entire evening into a showcase for herself. Viewers who watched the live stream noticed something deeply uncomfortable. As the discussion progressed, Courtney appeared to give up entirely. Her arm holding the microphone dropped lower and lower until she seemed resigned to simply letting Meghan take over. Critics pointed out that the interviewer looked visibly uncomfortable throughout, unsure how to navigate a conversation that had been completely hijacked. One commenter wrote that Courtney would have been better off alone, adding that she had about given up at that point because her arm was getting tired holding an unutilized mic. Another asked bluntly whether Meghan even allowed her friend to speak at her own book launch. This behavior echoes accusations that have followed Meghan since her days as a working royal. Former palace staff allegedly complained about similar dynamics during her brief tenure in the monarchy. Sources claimed she had a pattern of overshadowing colleagues and inserting herself into moments that were meant for others. The bullying allegations that surfaced before Megxit painted a picture of a woman who needed to be the center of attention at all times, regardless of the context or the cost to those around her. Meghan has consistently denied those claims, but the viral footage from California suggests the pattern never went away. What made the Godmother's incident particularly damaging was the context. This was not a royal engagement or a Netflix production where Meghan was contractually the star. This was her longtime friend's moment of professional triumph. Courtney had written a book, secured a launch event, and invited Meghan to support her. Instead of playing the gracious guest, Meghan allegedly supplied her own as-ever wine for attendees and proceeded to make herself the focal point of every conversation. Even her reminiscences about their college days felt like opportunities to redirect attention. She talked about their contrasting backgrounds, noting that Kourtney grew up on a tulip farm while she herself came from a modest Los Angeles duplex. The anecdote was framed around Meghan's story, not Kourtney's. Body language experts who analyzed the footage noted that Meghan's interventions revealed someone deeply uncomfortable ceding control. Her background in television means she is finely tuned to production elements like microphone placement and camera angles, but critics argue those instincts have mutated into something far less professional. She does not just want to be seen, she needs to be the only one seen, and anyone who shares her stage learns that lesson quickly. Just when the palace thought they had seen everything, Meghan Markle dropped a bombshell that reportedly left William and Kate absolutely horrified. In a move that stunned royal watchers worldwide, the Duchess of Sussex shared footage of herself performing a twerk dance in what appeared to be a labor room setting. The video, which Meghan claimed was filmed during the lead-up to daughter Lilibet's birth, showed her cradling her baby bump while dancing to a viral rap track. She described it as a cherished moment of authentic joy, a labor hack she and Harry used to help induce delivery. The internet had a very different reaction. The footage went viral almost immediately, but not for the reasons Meghan apparently hoped. Critics labeled the video cringeworthy, tone-deaf, and wildly inappropriate. Social media users mocked her moves, with hashtags like #MeghanTwerkle trending across platforms within hours. The clip racked up millions of views, but the comment section was a bloodbath of ridicule. One viewer wrote that Meghan was trying desperately to look fun and quirky and relatable, but came across as contrived, forced, and embarrassing instead. Another pointed out the irony of a woman who spent years demanding privacy, now sharing intimate footage from what should have been a deeply personal family moment. Behind palace walls, the reaction was allegedly even more severe. Sources claim Prince William and Princess Kate were appalled by the content and its timing. The footage reportedly deepened the already gaping rift between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family, with insiders suggesting William views such displays as fundamentally incompatible with any remaining connection to the monarchy. Kate was allegedly equally dismayed, finding the video tasteless and attention-seeking in equal measure. The couple, who famously guarded their own children's privacy, could not comprehend why Meghan would share something so personal for public consumption. But here's where the story takes a calculated turn. Just days after the twerk video exploded across social media, Meghan announced that her lifestyle brand, As Ever, would be restocking products. Insiders suggest the timing was no coincidence. According to sources close to the Duchess, sustaining media attention is crucial to building her brand, regardless of whether that attention is positive or negative. Critics accused her of deliberately courting controversy to drive traffic to her commercial ventures. One insider reportedly told journalists that the couple has transitioned from the affluent life of royalty to becoming emergency social media influencers, desperately generating content to remain relevant. The twerk video became symbolic of a larger problem. Meghan appears willing to monetize every aspect of her life, including moments most people would consider sacred. The birth of a child, the intimacy of labor, the vulnerability of pregnancy, all of it becomes content for public consumption. And when the backlash inevitably arrives, she brushes it off as haters who cannot handle her authenticity. But authenticity does not require an audience of millions, and sharing everything is not the same as being genuine. The whispers in Hollywood have become impossible to ignore. What began as quiet murmurs at industry events has erupted into full-blown alarm bells ringing across executive suites and talent agencies throughout Los Angeles. The entertainment industry is backing away from Meghan Markle, and the reasons paint a devastating picture of life inside the Sussex operation. A bombshell article from The Hollywood Reporter sent shockwaves through the business with a headline that said it all: "Why Hollywood Keeps Quitting on Harry and Meghan." The details inside were even more damning than the title suggested. Sources quoted in the piece described a workplace environment defined by fear and intimidation. Staff members were allegedly terrified of Meghan, walking on eggshells to avoid her wrath. One insider described her as marching around like a dictator in high heels, adding that she had reduced grown men to tears with her demands and criticisms. The accusations echoed the bullying allegations that had followed her since her time at Kensington Palace, suggesting the pattern of behavior did not change when she crossed the Atlantic. It simply found new victims. Another source used the word belittling to describe how Meghan allegedly treated those beneath her on the professional hierarchy. Meghan's team launched a counterattack through the pages of Us Weekly, arranging for past and present staffers to sing her praises. But the damage control felt hollow against the weight of accumulating testimony. The Sussexes have burned through staff at an alarming rate since arriving in California, with multiple high-profile departures making headlines over the years. Just recently, another key team member reportedly left after only 3 months on the job. The revolving door of employees suggests something fundamentally broken in how the operation functions. People do not flee stable, healthy workplaces in such numbers. The consequences have been severe for the couple's entertainment ambitions. Celebrities who once expressed interest in collaborating have quietly distanced themselves. Major figures in the industry now avoid association with Sussex projects entirely, viewing any involvement as a potential liability. Conversations about future deals have reportedly stalled or disappeared completely. Talent agencies have allegedly updated their internal guidance, flagging Meghan as a risk factor for any production. The woman who arrived in Hollywood expecting to conquer the entertainment world has instead become someone executives warn their clients to avoid. Netflix insiders have reportedly grown increasingly frustrated with the return on their massive investment in the couple. The streaming giant paid a reported $100 million for content that has consistently underperformed expectations. The Harry and Meghan documentary generated headlines but also significant backlash. Subsequent projects failed to capture audience attention. Sources claim executives have quietly abandoned plans for future Sussex productions, preferring to let the remaining contract run out rather than invest further resources in projects unlikely to succeed. The couple who bet everything on Hollywood is discovering that the industry has a long memory and very little patience for difficult talent who fail to deliver results. While Meghan Markle was busy staging photographs and correcting friends about her royal title, her 80-year-old father lay in a foreign hospital fighting for his life. Thomas Markle suffered a medical emergency in the Philippines that resulted in the amputation of part of his leg. The man who raised Meghan, who funded her education, who devoted his entire life to giving her opportunities, was facing one of the most terrifying moments of his existence. And how did his famous daughter respond? According to reports, she sent him an email. Let that sink in for a moment. Her elderly father, a man who had already survived multiple heart attacks and a stroke that left him having to relearn how to speak, was hospitalized in a foreign country missing a limb. Meghan's response was not to pick up the phone. It was not to fly to his bedside. It was not even to reach out through family members who could have connected them immediately. Instead, sources claim she sent an electronic message and then told the press about it, allegedly to create a paper trail. The callousness is breathtaking. Thomas Markle himself confirmed to journalists that he had not heard from his daughter directly. His phone number has remained the same for 15 years specifically so Meghan could always reach him. She knows where to find him. She knows how to contact him, and yet nothing. His phone, which is reportedly held by his son Thomas Jr., received no calls from Meghan or anyone representing her. When the Daily Mail published his account contradicting her claims of reaching out, Meghan's team fired back with a statement dripping with venom. A source close to the Duchess reportedly said they would simply have told the newspaper to ask Mr. Markle to check his email. The contempt in that response is staggering. Critics immediately drew comparisons to tactics used by other controversial figures. The emphasis on documentation, on creating paper trails rather than genuine connection, reminded many of calculated legal maneuvering rather than authentic family reconciliation. One commentator noted that the approach felt designed for future public relations battles rather than actual healing. Everything with Meghan seems to run through the press. Every gesture becomes a headline. Every private moment transforms into content. Even her dying father becomes a story to be managed rather than a human being to be loved. The situation grows even more damning when you consider the resources at Meghan's disposal. She has staff members, she has assistants, she has an entire team of people who could locate contact information for anyone on the planet within minutes. The idea that she could not reach her own father strains credibility beyond breaking point. She found time to attend Paris Fashion Week. She found time to stage photographs with Netflix crews. She found time to correct Mindy Kaling about her proper title. But she apparently could not find time to call her father after his leg was amputated. The evidence is now overwhelming. Viral clip after viral clip has exposed a pattern of behavior that Meghan Markle can no longer spin away with carefully crafted press releases and staged photographs. The woman who once captivated the world with her fairy tale romance has been revealed through her own actions, caught on camera time and time again displaying the ego-driven behavior that insiders have been warning about for years. From laughing at a fallen model to correcting friends about her royal title, from overshadowing a college companion at her own book launch, to allegedly emailing her hospitalized father instead of calling, the footage tells a story no amount of damage control can rewrite. The professional consequences are already mounting. Hollywood has grown increasingly uncomfortable with the Sussex brand, with industry insiders flagging Meghan as a risk factor for any production. Netflix executives have reportedly abandoned plans for future projects, preferring to quietly run out the clock on their massive investment rather than throw more resources at content that consistently underperforms. The 80-person crew who worked on her cooking show now faces uncertain futures because of creative decisions made by a star who refused to listen to anyone. Celebrities who once eagerly sought association with the Duchess have distanced themselves entirely, recognizing that proximity to Meghan has become a liability rather than an asset. The personal toll appears equally severe. Her relationship with the royal family has deteriorated beyond repair, with sources suggesting William and Kate want nothing to do with the couple's commercial ventures or attention-seeking content. Her father lies in a foreign hospital, having received nothing more than an alleged email from the daughter he sacrificed everything to raise. Former staff members continue to share stories of intimidation and tears, painting a portrait of a workplace defined by fear rather than collaboration. The isolation grows more pronounced with each passing scandal. What remains is a woman desperately clinging to titles and status while claiming she wanted freedom from the institution that granted them. She demands to be announced as the Duchess of Sussex at casual meetings while insisting she left royalty behind for a simpler life. She preaches authenticity while staging every moment for cameras. She claims to champion women while allegedly overshadowing and diminishing those around her. The contradictions have become impossible to ignore, and the public is finally seeing through the performance. The question now is whether any path forward exists. Can Meghan rebuild a brand so thoroughly damaged by her own viral moments? Can she repair relationships destroyed by years of calculated media warfare? Can she reconnect with a father who may not have much time left? The answers seem increasingly bleak. The cameras that once captured her glamorous wedding and fairy tale romance now document a very different story, one of ego unchecked and consequences finally arriving. So, what do you think? Has Meghan's behavior finally caught up with her? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.